All right, welcome back to the French Toast Night podcast. I am Kevin Moses, and for this episode, our 24th episode, I believe, I am joined by Rob Fitz from the state of Michigan. Hey, Rob.
Yay!
Rob, you're actually in a studio. You have a live audience there with you.
Yes, we do. We do have a live audience taping tonight. My children are joining us from the. Well, I guess just one now. Sorry, sorry guys. I will say my oldest daughter Maggie is an avid listener and always listens to every podcast.
Wow. And Maggie's like a podcast pro, isn't that true? She listens to other podcasts, right?
I'm pro.
So good to have Rob with us. Nate Offord is finally joining us, Nate, after a sabbatical. That's what it was. It's a sabbatical, right?
It was. I just really needed to rest from the last time I was on this podcast. It was so draining. So yeah, I'm back. It's good to be back.
Good to have you back, Nate, with your cool what are those called? Headphones? Are those Beats?
Headphones they are not. No. They are cheap imitation Beats.
I don't know anything about Beats or headphones, obviously. And then Aaron Boyce from Salt Lake City, Utah. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Well, it was going well until a few minutes ago when the four of us got word that our co-host, but more than that, our close friend, who usually would be with us for this episode, is feeling a little under the weather, as they say. And so, Paul, this is in honor of you.
And normally Paul loves being under the weather, but in this case, he actually likes being on top of the weather. Come to think of it.
He totally expect us. He's doing weather things.
You guys, this is supposed to be serious. Come on, this is like a flag raising. Come on.
We'll pour one out for Paul.
You guys can't see, but Steve Pettit is actually sitting right next to me. Like,
I feel it.
Now the slow fade out.
Hey, ask Brother Steve about the new School of Health Professions.
Hey, is that Crockett guy there giving out free Bibles? I want one.
Me too. Oh man. Well, hey, even though I think all of us,
sorry guys,
have an ache, have an emptiness in our heart because Paul's not with us, we should press on. That's what he'd want us to do, I think.
That's what he told us to do, actually. You
guys remember during the summers when Paul would sometimes go on like a family vacation and he'd leave, after a long week of camp, he'd leave like Friday night, drive through the night, somehow stay awake on Skittles and Peace Teas. And I feel like that's what this is. He's left us. We must press on.
I feel like it's where Gandalf dies and falls into that big chasm during Lord of the Rings. They thought it was forever, but whatever.
Yeah, Paul's gonna come back next episode with extra powers, stronger and funnier than ever, knowing even more people. Well, Barack Obama, I actually know him. He and I went to school together.
I covered him while he was doing sports, basketball, mom getting money for gas. It was a long story.
He and Alex were actually in youth soccer together.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Hey, we're gonna start with this question for you guys, and I feel really bad because this was, I think, Paul's idea, but we'll do it in his honor. As many of you know, my wife just about a month and a half ago gave birth to a baby, and one of the things with pregnancy, a fourth Moses child. So. But they have these things with pregnancy now where at every week of your pregnancy, you can see the size of your baby as compared to, and then usually it's, for some reason, it's almost always food, which I think is unusual.
Because that's the only other thing that's usually in your stomach. I think it's a 1-to-1 correlation.
The only thing we care about more than babies. So.
That must be it. That must be it.
I always thought I was giving you the approximate size of fruit. I'm like, I know how to
Oh, that's how big a mango is. So, they have these weird charts and stuff. You can chart the progress of your baby. But Paul's idea was, what if we took that idea and applied it to items from camp? So it could be a game supply or piece of game equipment. It could just be anything random from camp, and compare it to a baby at so many weeks. So I have just one. Well, I have a couple, but I think only one is good, and I'll let you guys decide which one I think is good.
I like your honesty.
So I'll give one, and then Rob, we'll see if you have one.
Okay.
So at 36 weeks, your baby is the size of Josh Roland's hair from his Andretti Funny Time song. Huge wig. Rob?
At 3 days old, my child is the size of Kate Vance's patients for counselors their sections.
Oh, man.
Really tiny.
Not very big.
That's good. That's good. Nate, do you have one? Have you thought of one?
Well, I can't. I was trying to make actual comparisons, size, I was trying to do it too realistic. I think it all came about because I remember Paul shared a screen grab from somewhere that said hey, your baby is the size of half of a Cheesecake Factory cheesecake or something so ridiculous that I was all right, this doesn't apparently mean anything, and so we're we might as well make it actually mean something based off of I think even one of his suggestions was at 20 weeks or whatever, your baby is the size of Camp Lake, and then depending on the summer, that could be a different size for your baby, because early, in 2010, that would be a fully developed child would be Camp Lake. And by the time I was done, Camp Lake is the size of your just recently conceived child.
Yes. We want to keep our iTunes rating. Aaron, do you have any input on this one?
Yeah, I think at about 2 days old, your baby is the size of the portion that you go tri-tip steak as a counselor.
I was thinking something like that, Aaron.
Oh man!
I was thinking about maybe 12 weeks, the size of the programmatic immunity idol. That's always a classic one as well. So
yes,
yeah.
I would say at 5 weeks, your baby is the size of the portion of food that waitresses used to bring out to your cabin of 12 kids back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember that, especially on Monday night, the first night, and it was always some sort of pasta and they had breadsticks or something like that. And I remember my first cabin was 10 guys, and they brought 2.5 breadsticks. Somehow find a way with junior high guys to be hey, let's consider the person next to us, for a second. Oh, it was crazy.
That was our
stick form was always horrible, French toast sticks.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
It's been a vault that they had to key at the time when they went back there.
Being on the leadership side, I finally found out what their calculation methods were for those sizes. And I'm pretty sure it was a number of campers plus 2 French toast sticks was what they would prepare.
Just to create opportunities for tension. So you can have counseling opportunities later.
Well, I always thought a smart counselor would just look at the kid and say, hey, let's have communion, guys. We're just going to take a little bit. And
hey, guys, we're going to fast this meal. We're just going to pray and fast. That was our specialty camp. That was our specialty camp weight loss camp that week.
We asked the leadership campers as extra spiritual people to please fast and pray during dining hall meals, and spread the wealth to the less fortunate.
And I think as program staff, we would come in those council meetings next morning. I think we were just trained to say, hey, if you're not getting enough food, just let us know. We'll talk to someone about it. I'm writing it down right here. Just writing, scribble.
Hey, just let us know. We'll forget about it before flag raising.
Because we knew if it was a legitimate issue, we could just start talking about a scoring issue, and they would just totally get them off track about whatever they were talking about.
Actually, we take away points from teams when they complain about their food portion. Oh, It's fine. It's fine.
Just think, if you don't go to breakfast, you can spend more time cleaning your cabin, and then you'll earn more points.
Come on.
Look at the positive side of this.
It never happened that we never had a cabin completely skip a meal to like work on verses or clean a cabin or do something like that. It seems like that's something that should have happened at some, not should have, but would have happened at some point.
Well, they had to be a flag raising, or else we would have known.
So, we would have opened up a can, man.
Are there any more sides you got, Kevin?
Oh, the other one I thought of was I don't know how many weeks, maybe like 7 weeks. Your baby's the size of a welt from a Will Galkin thrown tennis ball during gladiator games.
And at 8 weeks, it's the tennis ball itself, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If we were comparing, while we were traveling on the road and talking to different pastors and stuff, like camp's discretionary fund would be like -5 weeks on that.
Yeah, certain trips in particular.
At 36 weeks, your child would be the size of the giant inflatable slide as we're desperately trying to roll it up tight enough to secure the straps around it. Just too bad.
It was a skill.
We're putting this baby away for the winter, guys. Let's get it tight.
And at 4 weeks, your baby's the size of the Zorb the second summer. Hey, here's a question that came up actually today. Is the 5 of us, including Paul? Moment of silence.
Play the song again.
As we were texting.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, come on, Aaron.
Every time we mentioned Paul, we had to.
It's so confusing.
Long show.
Yes. Oh.
That's okay.
Go on.
There you go. Yes. The question is, what is something that you like that it seems like not many of your friends are into? Or you could answer the opposite. So what's something that you really don't like, but it seems like everyone or most people that you hang out with, or most people who are similar to you, that they really like it. So there's just something that for some reason everyone around you, your friends, seems to like it or not like it, and you just feel the opposite way about it. Hashtag unpopular opinion, as they say. Aaron, do you have anything like this? Something that you just love, but nobody else really seems to be into?
Well,
I mean, besides Southern Gospel.
Yeah. I think one thing I hate that it seems like a lot of people are into is hashtag unpopular opinion. So that's probably one thing. That's quite terrible. I actually don't remember seeing that question on the list. So I'm gonna let everybody else go.
Aaron hates lists.
There it is. Number 4. I'm gonna let you guys
between
go.
Number 3. Yeah, it's between 3 and 5. If you look between those, you'll see it.
I'm so sorry.
Rob, what's your thing you like that no one else likes, or vice versa?
This was a tough one for me. I don't do a lot of social media. I come on to Facebook every now and then to post important comments. But I didn't even realize this was a thing. Hashtag unpopular, or maybe I'm just unpopular. I don't know. So I did not have an answer for this question. I didn't like this question, Kevin. It seemed like you guys all liked it.
This question specifically is actually the problem.
Hey,
But you guys see something and it'll probably.
what I don't like is when people don't like it. I don't like it when my friends don't like what I do. That's what I don't like.
Oh, but I validate you, Kevin. You're awesome.
Oh, hey, thanks. Hey, let's try Nate.
Oh, this isn't going to go much better. I saw the question, so do I get points for that?
Hey guys, I seem to like preparation, and none of my friends seem to like this.
No, this is going to be this is a weird venue to say this, but I have learned, first of all, Kevin, you are the person who got me into podcasting as an art. not creating them, although I do that frequently as well.
Elsewhere.
No, but
Wait.
just like
Wait, yeah, because you don't with us.
no,
You
no,
don't
not with
frequently
you
put 'em
guys. No, no,
okay.
you guys don't pay. The other.
Hey, that's something. We all like podcasting together, but Nate doesn't.
There you go. There you go.
I actually have.
No, I'm in the middle of one, Aaron. Let me speak. No, but like I talk a fair amount. Because of the nature of my work, I'm able to listen to a lot of podcasts throughout the work week.
Either that or swear.
Yeah, so I choose podcasting. But so I have a lot of podcasts that I listen to regularly, and several that I go in and like find episodes to. And to me, it just seems it's all here. It's all free. We all have smartphones. And in my brain, I'm thinking everybody does this. I'm pretty sure everyone listens to podcasts. And yet regularly I'll bring up, I was listening on this podcast the other day, such and such and such. And someone's like, why do you listen to podcasts? And I'm like, what? Why don't I don't understand. And so it's just kind of, I've created this whole alternate reality, probably because I talk with Kevin a lot, where I think that everyone in the world is just listening to podcasts all the time, and it's not actually that way.
I had someone ask me last week what's a podcast, and it was someone that like was our age, like that kind of should have known.
They were probably really 90 years old. That was they tricked you.
They were so hipster. They were.
Did you have someone in your community call the police because they heard a podcast being recorded?
The new pastor down the street listens to podcasts. That's probably something illegal.
A podcast. We heard a podcast up here.
That's right. A podcast. Aaron, what's yours? You said you have one.
Yeah, I don't like sweaters. I don't like wearing them. I hate sweaters. I do not own a sweater.
Man,
I don't either, man.
How do you exist?
From like November till as long as I can in the spring, I only wear sweaters and sweatshirts.
Well, I wear hoodies for sure, but not sweaters. Nope.
Interesting.
So
I actually
what
don't
is it
like
about
hoodies.
the sweater you don't like?
I don't think they look good on me for one, and
I agree.
that's it. So
That's
the reason.
it's a very simple criteria.
And now, Aaron, isn't it also true you don't wear baseball caps? At least not much.
Not much. No, I wore one on a hike, a really extensive hike up in Wyoming, but that's about it. More recently, I do wear the beanie cap or the toboggan if you're from the South and don't know what you're talking about. So
That is correct. You wear a beanie on.
Which is common in this.
And Aaron, isn't it the same reasoning? The reason you don't wear a cap is you just don't think it looks good on you. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, I was made fun of when I was younger because of the size of my head, and
I
so-
feel bad about doing that all those years at camp.
like my dad's baseball cap fit me when I was like 9 or 10 or something, and I was kind of impressed by it.
When Aaron was 30 weeks old, he was the size of his father's head.
Hey, boys, are you sure you weren't at like a youth event where the speaker like?
I was sitting there, I was intently listening to the message being proclaimed, and then I realized like that I heard this over the voice change and like sort of point itself toward me and say, "Hey, you over there, take that hat off. This is God's house." We're in a tent, dude. He's staring right at us.
Hey,
Super embarrassed.
Tabernacle was a tent. That was God's residence. It's pretty simple 1-to-1 correlation right there.
I'd go with that story.
We are referencing a very funny story that one of us should tell.
Go for it, Aaron.
Maybe it might be a good story for after the button.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Oh, show.
Rob, you have anything yet or no? It's okay if you don't.
What question is this? Oh yeah, the unpopular.
It's okay
Nope.
if you don't. I feel like I should have one for you. I feel like I know you well enough. I know what you like and don't like.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. So one thing that I really, really, really love that it seems like a lot of people don't is snow ice cream.
That's where this whole discussion came from, isn't it?
Yep.
You can't just make up something and say you like it and no one else does. That's not how that works.
I've had their snow ice cream. Good.
Aaron, can you review it for the listeners?
Man, it was such a long time ago. I remember. I'm pretty sure all you had was condensed milk and sugar, and then we got fresh driven snow from outside and put them in bowls. And since you had no heat on in your house, it didn't melt. No problem with it. So after we had our evening's morsel of porridge, we decided to make some snow cream. It was really good. It was, and it wasn't like, oh, this is like, I don't know. It wasn't like eating pumpkin pie because you're supposed to, or it wasn't like, I don't know. It wasn't doing it because you had to. It was actually something that I enjoyed. So yeah.
Hey.
Was it good compared to like regular snow, or was it good compared to ice cream?
It's sweetened snow. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, there's the thing is you cannot compare it to ice cream. Like that's where people maybe get a bad impression.
What would be its closest comparison?
Probably.
How about be close to water ice?
No, like a slush, or like water ice or something like that.
Like a cream slush.
Yeah.
From Sun.
But it's way cheap, and there's so much of it.
I mean, you should have seen the size of that condensed milk can. It was like 40 weeks.
It was like the widow's condensed milk can. Yes. Kevin, is this why you've been posting panoramic pictures of snow saying snow is beautiful? Because you're seeing it all as a buffet. You're like endless opportunities ahead of me.
I mean, it's basically manna. Like every morning, you wake up and it falls from the sky. It's sweet.
Now, if you store that over the weekend, does it like maggots?
You get extra snow on Friday.
Yeah. So Rob, you've never had it, or you just didn't like it when you've had it?
No, I've never had it. I'm just, I guess, too lazy to go out and scoop up snow and mix it. I'm like, boy, this ice cream's already in the freezer. We'll just eat that.
I think Kevin it's so cheap, but like ice cream is not an expensive commodity. Like, and you can just get it, and it's not created around dust particles like snow is. So
yeah, but the quantity of ice cream I eat tends to get expensive after a while.
Oh, that's
listeners, fair. If you're hearing this, please send Ben & Jerry's gift cards, Kevin.
Dude, Ben & Jerry's is way too expensive.
We obviously didn't have snow in South Carolina, back in.
So, would 1 pint of Ben & Jerry's equal in terms of snow cream? Like your yard or what?
It's like how 40,000 bees have to work together to make 1 ounce of honey. Like that's like the ratio we're dealing with snow ice cream.
For the cost I would spend on 1 pint of Ben & Jerry's, I could have snow ice cream for a year. I mean, it's just milk, sugar, and vanilla. That's all it is.
Oh, vanilla. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Rob, what were you going to say about your upbringing?
We didn't have, back when I was a kid, we didn't have snow in South Carolina. Now it's a regular occurrence. But so the snow cream was, and Kevin never invited me over for snow cream, so it's probably more of a Harvard hurt than anything.
I think because I knew you didn't like it, maybe. Oh. Hey, can you give us a second here? Hey, Rob, can we talk?
So I can't judge. I've never had it.
Oh.
Gotcha. And Nate, you grew up in the land of snow, but you had it or you didn't have it?
No, I'd never, not even had I never had it, I'd never heard of it until, I'm pretty sure, until I saw you doing it. And it was funny because you grew up in Michigan, so it's not like, to me, it would make sense if someone like Rob grew up doing it. Like, hey, we get snow once every 3 years. Here's a cool thing you can do with the snow. And Southerners don't really know what to do with the snow, so they kind of like made up their own thing. Like that would make sense to me. But all
they had was milk and bread. They were missing the sugar and the vanilla.
That is true. Whenever it snowed,
like an ice cream sandwich, but snow cream.
There it is.
Carry on, Nate. Carry on.
And Kevin, you who grew up, Michigan has plenty of snow itself, and you grew up like, no, this is what we do with the snow, and made it sound like this is what people across the world do when it snows. And I don't know if it's because of I don't know, maybe we respect the sacred landscape in Alaska when it snows. I have no idea what. Honestly, it's because there's so many snowmobiles, so snow machines like driving all over the place that it all just tastes like oil. Like there is no place of untouched snow. It's all got moose or snow machine in it, and it's just a rough.
Well, plus, don't you have oil coming up from the ground like all the time?
Yeah. It seeps upward. So
yeah.
Ooh, there you go. I just ate moose tracks actually. Great.
There it is. There's the reference.
And I have found a little bit of commonality with people who like snow ice cream. Generally, they come from
family?
Bigger.
Your family?
No, but they generally are like bigger families. Generally, and I bet you it has to do with just the economics of it. I mean, if you're going to take like my family growing up out to get ice cream, you're talking like $50 or more to go, Dairy Queen or whatever. But snow ice cream, it's like 50 cents. You feed your whole family.
Snow ice cream is big among Catholics, the ATI crowd.
It's so good though. So good.
Do you like? I got a question. So here's a question. Now we're getting philosophical here. Do you like mint chocolate chip snow cream? Have you tried that?
No. See, people try this like adding these extra flavors, and I just haven't found one I like. I just like the simple vanilla.
Sorry.
You're a purist.
So you just do vanilla and sugar? Interesting.
Basically, you can put that in anything. It's going to taste good.
Yeah, like you put vanilla and sugar in water, and you're like, oh my word, have you tried this ice water cream?
Creamed water.
Like,
Dude. Aaron puts milk, vanilla, and sugar in his coffee, and it's like this gourmet thing. I put it in snow, and people hate me for it.
That's because you're not charging enough money for it, Kevin.
Oh,
That's true.
Okay. Yeah.
I will admit, Kevin, that if coffee was falling from the sky and crystallized, I would probably go out and grab
it. Oh, well, that was fun. Hey, let's transition to a topic that may not be as jovial, but I think it'll be thoughtful, and our listeners deserve that. Both of them,
Paul,
Maggie and Paul. This is for you, Maggie, and for you, Paul. What is one area of your life, and I'm thinking specifically like your belief system, worldview, actions, etc. What's one area where in the last 10 years you've changed significantly? Now, my guess is that there's probably a lot of areas, but I want to just say one. That way we all have the freedom to not say the other 9. You know what I mean? So what's one area where like 10 years ago, maybe you really thought you believed it wholeheartedly, and now you look back and you're like, I'm glad I've changed, or I'm glad God's changed me. Obviously as we grow in sanctification, God is changing us, so we should be changing. He's changing me, my blessed Savior.
Amen.
And so because we're not the same old person that we used to be,
you don't have to keep quoting
at 10 weeks, your baby is the size of the motions for that song. So let's start with, who wants to go first?
Well, I can.
This question? Yeah.
Aaron.
Yeah. So I used to be like a raving Arminian. I'm just kidding. That's not true. I think.
You mean a pre-Calvinist?
Yeah. You're either a pre-Calvinist or you're unsaved. So, well, it wasn't quite.
Go ahead.
It wasn't quite as strong as you stated it just now, Kevin. It wasn't something that I like really, really believed in. It's just something that is modified in my approach to ministry, and that's just. I mean, it sounds so stupid. Not really, but to just listen in conversations when people are bringing like either hurts or problems to you. I think for a guy, especially, most men are wanting to be the problem solvers in that moment. And when you're talking to people, that they're not necessarily wanting you to solve it for them right away. And that's not to say that there isn't value in that, but oftentimes if you're doing that kind of work, I just bit my lip. Oftentimes,
are we supposed to be listening to this?
Yeah.
We're all talking on the side chat.
Oftentimes when you're trying to think of how to solve the problem, you're not actually hearing the problem well. And so I think that's been something that I've learned over the past couple of years. So.
That's good.
No,
Nate, do you have one?
Oh, sorry. I was going to comment on
go ahead.
Voice's statement, but like I had it put to me recently, like a lot of times we listen to respond when we should be listening to learn. And like I kind of self-checked and I was like, oh shoot, I listen to respond an awful lot.
Yeah.
So that's, I feel you. It's been good.
Yeah, I don't know what you said, Nate, but like here's how we can fix
that.
Yeah. Nate?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I'm sure and thankful that there are many things, but it's hard to necessarily nail it down to one. I think one thing that has been helpful for me is I grew up in essentially, it wasn't the same church, but my dad's a pastor, so I was always in a church where my dad was the pastor. And so I saw church basically one way from, birth until 18. And then I went to college and saw 4 years of churches that were very, very similar and just had not much exposure to the wide variety of people who loved God. I think I could put it this way. Like, I used to think that there was a very narrow, like alley of what true followers of Christ looked like. And anyone outside of this alley really wasn't loving and following Christ. And I think, hopefully by God's grace, I've learned, there's still a ton I don't know, but I've learned there's actually quite a bit of leeway and freedom within the parameter of Christ. And so even churches that do things quite drastically different than what I might even be used to, there can be people who love Christ there. And like following Christ does not necessarily look like the way I've always seen it growing up, or I've always perceived it growing up. And the danger in that can be, you can easily just be like, well, I think everybody's kind of doing, everyone's just kind of doing their own thing and they're all loving Jesus. But I mean it more in a sense of, I think I've learned that unless scripture specifically is like, hey, don't do this, that there's kind of some freedom in that way. And even if it's not something that I necessarily relate to not be so quick to just write it off as like, well, that's weird and you're wrong. But trying to be a little more understanding that there's a lot of diversity in that way.
Yeah, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago, I read a book that was just mind shifting for me in that area. And it was the Conscience book. And just really paradigm shifting that book. Takes Romans 14 and other passages and just shows what you just said. And yeah, it's good. But even though you've changed in that, you're still the most balanced person, right? I mean,
yeah. It helps the closer people can get to where I am, which is right in the middle of a pendulum. It's
right.
Best.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you're not saying that they don't need to be where you're at. You're just saying it's like, hey, it's okay for now.
I'm saying that God is patient so that they can repent. Like, that's the reason why they haven't been judged yet.
That's good. That's good. Good move on your part, Nate.
Yeah,
you've grown.
I really have. I really have.
You're getting to where.
Rob, you have something?
With I think probably did you say Rob?
Yeah. I know you weren't listening, but that's okay. Aaron was.
I think just my view of the local church, probably 10 years ago, I was, 100% camp, parachurch ministry, and starting to think those thoughts where it's like, man, the real exciting big stuff happens at camp. And, then they'll go to church, be there for a year and come back. And that definitely wasn't taught, I think, directly. It wasn't like a product of Northland. I think on the ground, you can start to think of that and now in local church, I wish I had started in local church ministry and gone to camp second. I think that would have totally affected my outlook on the camp ministry. But in God's providence, I need to go through camp first to grow in some certain areas for local church ministry. But I think my view of local church, especially now being in a local church ministry, obviously see the value and the, God works in the local church, and those parachurch ministries need to be supporting the local church. So, and I wish I'd probably done a better job supporting the guys we would meet and see on the road. So,
So Rob, you told me recently that you're speaking at a camp this summer. Is that correct? A junior camp?
Yes, I am speaking at High Point.
So how is this this progression in your life? How's that going to change the way you speak, or just?
I'll definitely make a stronger local church emphasis. And even my kids at church, anytime I speak anywhere, there's definite, be involved in the local church, be a part of your local church. And, with the kids at our church, I don't encourage it. I tell them this is what God wants for you, and you need to do this. It's not like, hey, if you get a chance. So, yeah, a strong emphasis, being connected, serving, being a part of, everything we're going to talk about from God's word, doing it in the context of your local church. Yeah. So,
but you will let them know they're not really going to grow until they come back next summer, right?
Right. I mean, it's kind of like the incubation time to get back to camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just kind of hold them there at the church, and then they grow at camp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Has this affected how long your altar calls are going to be? Your emphasis on the local church?
Not at all. Not at all.
Are you just going to call them to go to their church? Like, just walk down this aisle and then keep walking.
Just keep walking. Head right home. It's Friday night, actually. Your suitcases are outside.
Just go talk to your pastor who's back at home.
You're now entering the mission.
We're gonna start a church right here, kids. This is gonna be our church. We're gonna have church. This is kingdom building, churchy stuff.
Those are called
Wow. I hate to take another man's story, but because he's not here, Paul, I remember telling us, Aaron, play the music now. Aaron, come on. I'm delaying for you to get the music ready.
I didn't hear someone's name.
Oh, the man we love, Paul, who's not here with us tonight.
Man.
He used to tell us that thank you, Aaron. Aaron, you weren't listening, were you?
No. Listening to I don't know what I was listening for.
No, he actually attended a camp when he was a child where if you made a profession during the week, they baptized you as part of the camp.
Oh wow. Was that really just a swim test? And there was they did a lot of things all at once at that camp. There's a swim test, and it was like back in the day, they used to test to see like if you were a witch or not. Like if you float, you're a witch, and then they burn you, and if you sink, you were innocent. Like it was like that. It's like, oh, they sank. They must not have loved Jesus. And man, that's kind of crazy. Hi, Aaron.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, Aaron, you're gonna play the song for us next time. That's good.
I have been playing it. You didn't see this.
Of course.
Playing in my face, of course.
I like your reverse amp.
Yes.
That's great. I'll just quickly mention again.
Kev, what about you?
Yeah, there's a lot of areas, obviously, and I think as I actually did the math, maybe for this one it's been more than 10 years, but 15 years ago or so, I would have said that a great preacher is almost based solely on their communication skills, and I've really changed in that. I think I grew up thinking that, hey, if a guy could hold my attention with his personality, his gestures, his voice, if you were just exciting and told funny stories, then you're a great preacher. That's like a really good preacher. And obviously I've realized that it's the content that matters more, and someone using the word and using the word faithfully is really the mark of a great preacher. And obviously you can communicate it in a way that's compelling and catching. But I would have solely based my judgment of a speaker based on just how easy they were to listen to or fun they were to listen to, rather than actually the content of the message. And so, yeah, I've changed in that for sure.
Yep.
That's why I don't really care anymore about how I look.
I was wondering. I was going to say something, but I didn't know.
Let yourself go.
Stop looking at me. Just listen to me. Kids. Take that hat off. I think. Do we have time for one more? This should be relatively quick, and then we'll call this one done for now. So the Super Bowl is coming up. I think by the time this posts, it'll be on the cusp of Super Bowl weekend, as they say.
We should post this the night of the Super Bowl and see how many hits we get.
I'm sure that would really drive our traffic.
We can compete.
It's just Paul and Maggie, so I don't know what they're doing for Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, those are two people who don't care about football at all. They'll be listening.
Well, I know their team won't be playing on Super Bowl night, but
they kind of are, because the Vikings lost in the NFC Championship, and so
I see.
Matters.
The enemy of my enemy,
my friend.
Yep.
Yes.
When necessary.
So, any predictions for the Super Bowl? And here, you can take any part of the Super Bowl weekend that you want to prophesy on. It could be commercials, festivities, halftime show, the party that you're planning to attend if you've been invited to a party, or you're inviting others to your place. Any part of the weekend, any part of the Super Bowl that you want to predict. It could, of course, include the score or big plays or the winner. Aaron, you are a football fanatic. And I know that because you and I text about football sometimes. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? Maybe we lost Aaron.
Oh, were you talking to me? That's hilarious. The name skipped out. I'm like, there's no way that he's.
Oh, this is so good after you set us up with how you've grown in the last 10 years.
The irony is heavy.
It's a process. None of us have arrived. We're all.
I assumed you had said Nate. Yeah, we do text about football. That's true. Yeah. Well, I predict this is usually how it goes with me with teams that I absolutely despise, like the Patriots. That they'll look like they're out for the count in some way, and I believe if they win, that it's going to make them look really, really good for reasons that, like, last year was so frustrating to me, that a team just self-destructed in front of them, and I had friends in the same room that were Patriot fans. That it was so annoying, because I remember I was so ticked that night because I was like, yes, they were 23 down, but I was like, you know what? I think they can come back, and I think they can win this. And it's exactly what happened, and I got more and more cynical as the night went on. So I think it's just going to make Tom Brady look really incredible again, and make the Patriots look really incredible. And they are, obviously they've earned a good reputation, but I think their other reputation suits them well as well. So,
Dude, it's saying something that, like, the Patriots, because again in the AFC Championship they were down 2 scores to Jacksonville, the best defense in the league, with like 10 minutes, had put 10 points total up on the board, and like everyone in the world was like, well, New England's going to win this game, right? All they have to do is score twice in a row.
Right.
They just have a switch that they can flip.
Well, I think other teams have a fear that that drives me insane. I watch it all the time in sports, where a team that shouldn't be ahead has gotten ahead, and then they self-destruct. So yeah.
Well, and the crazy, like, you look at the Super Bowl last year. So like Falcons are up 28-3. First of all, the Falcons would have to do a lot wrong to collapse from that, but the Patriots would have to jump at every opportunity given to them, and that's the difference. Is like sometimes a faltering team catches a break because the other team falters, and it's almost like New England, they can smell blood, and when they know that there's a weak point, there's not a lot.
Yeah, and it's like a shark. Like sharks smell blood. Like left shark. If there's any
shark,
left sharks on that field.
I sure hope that left shark comes back for the Super Bowl. That would be the best.
Have there been any commercials based on left shark? Like that's a gold mine just waiting to happen, right?
I think someone's going to bring a left shark commercial this year. They have to.
Okay,
they miss out on that.
was that just last year that was left shark?
No,
that was a few years ago, right?
That was New England, Seattle.
Yeah, we're all sure. Lose track. pretty easily.
Remember when Joe Namath was in the Super Bowl, guys? That was just last year, right?
Well, I do know that Justin Timberlake, the last time Justin Timberlake was in doing halftime, it was in a very, very good Super Bowl, one of the best, one of the most exciting ones ever, and nobody remembers the game.
Nope.
Why is that, Aaron?
I can't explain.
I can't. Here, I'll write it in the side chat.
Okay, yes. So is he doing the Super Bowl this year?
He is.
Okay. I literally did not know that until now. Aaron, I have a legitimate question for you. I want you to answer this honestly because I know you, and so I think I know what your answer is going to be, but do you give any credence to the NFL fix for the Patriots? You know, the whole refs love the Patriots. Do you give any credence to that whatsoever?
Well, I give credence to human nature. So,
oh boy, theology 101.
So, no, I mean, who knows with the whole deflate gate? I don't know. Like, it seemed shady, and they just seem like if any team is like that, it's probably them. So, but then also, yeah, I've seen refs make calls for the more popular team in a variety of sports, and so actually, I've seen this happen with Green Bay. So you guys can just hear that and be okay with it. So happens a lot, actually, and it's frustrating. So
I've learned that it is a perception.
Okay.
I won't speak about the Packers. I'm too close to that whole situation. It's interesting. Like per the Patriots, there's so much hatred across the league where people are like, anyone but New England again. Anyone but New England. The Patriots have been in 7 Super Bowls, and every single one of them has come down to the end in some way or another. They make for fantastic games. They say they get all the calls, but I mean, like you said, Aaron, any top team, they do seem like they get a few here and there, whether it's intentional or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bill Belichick is so meticulous about everything that 1, they don't break as many on the field rules, and 2, they also know how to go right up to the edge of what is not written about in the rule to gain an advantage within the legal field of play. Yep. And it's like they absolutely own mentally every other team in the league.
Yep.
And it helps that they have Tom Brady running that show, but their preparation is unbelievable. Yep. I don't remember when it was, but several years ago, I stopped hating the Patriots for being so dominant and just kind of began appreciating it from a distance. And that's a little bit easier for me to do. I'm my team's in a completely different conference. We haven't played them in a Super Bowl or anything like that, but like, I get it. If you're in the AFC and your team always has to get past New England, it has to be just the most frustrating thing.
Yep.
I remember I was in college when New England played in their first Super Bowl, or at least the first of the modern era.
That seems unlikely.
Well, the first of the Belichick era, put it that way. And it was the season when Bledsoe got hurt and Brady came in. And so they were the underdog.
Yeah.
And I had some friends of mine who were from New England and loved the Patriots and went their whole lives. I mean, we were 20, so all 20 years of their lives where the Patriots were bad. And so I was a Patriots fan like those years, the snow game and then Vinatieri with these last second kicks. And I remember being a big Patriots fan just because they were the underdog and Brady came in and all this stuff. And it's funny how things have changed. Now, I'm not a hater either, partly because Brady's from Michigan, so I've always liked Brady. But I also am not a Patriots fan. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I admire just the amazing run that they've been on. I mean, they're just good. But it's kind of like the Chicago Bulls when I was in junior high or whatever. Like, you respect them, but you don't love them. That's kind of how I am with the Patriots. Hey, Rob, what do you think? You've been quiet. Well, you've been communicating, just not verbally.
The sidebar is the equivalent of someone trying to tickle you while you're doing an announcement.
Well, you got to explain to the listeners because that sounds bad.
Well, at camp, when you were doing announcements with the PA in the office, and right in the middle of your announcement, someone would run up and like grab you or tickle you or hit you right when you're talking to like 400 people out in the middle of and you're like,
Yes. Every time I go on like a lengthier spiel on this podcast, the guys try to do that to me in the sidebar. So, Rob, what do you think about the Super Bowl or the Patriots or anything? Just talk.
I feel like I agree. I think it's going to be a good game. Eagles are going to make it interesting, but the Patriots are going to find some way to win. And I think it's like what you guys are saying. They're not afraid to be down. They're not afraid to be, 30 points behind. It's like, we've done some more. Let's just, you guys ready to wrap this thing up?
I think the Eagles have a very good team to the point where they could Eagles could win. They really could. Totally. The difference is the Eagles' margin for error is so much smaller than New England's. New England has 4 quarters to tinker with, and I don't think Philly does.
Yeah, I don't think Foles can. That's the big step for him. But we'll see.
See, I don't know. Nate, I agree with you in theory, but the margin of error for me with the Patriots depends really on Brady and Gronk not getting hurt, or I should say, especially Brady. I mean, if Brady gets knocked out in the second quarter, like they're done virtually. And I think the same with Gronk because he is a mismatch every play. Mm-hmm. And I'm tempted to think that the Eagles know that, and I know other teams know that too, but I'm just tempted to think that one of them is going to get hurt and the Patriots are going to lose. But
I also agree that if you shoot the starting quarterback, it's a lot harder to win. But I thought we were going on the assumption of the player starting the game, finishing the game.
Oh,
if Left Shark
can stay healthy.
I'm just saying, like, if Nick Foles goes down, it doesn't hurt the Eagles as much as if Brady goes down.
No.
Like the margin.
Yeah. The problem is if Nick Foles goes down, you're down to your third string quarterback. And I think Bill Belichick at quarterback could beat that version of the Eagles.
Hey, we'll see who's right. I'd probably be wrong.
I think Brady will get injured, but then they're going to tape a rod or a thing to his leg and go back out. Done. He's like, I'm good.
Brady will get his magical healing crystals and will be.
What's going to happen? He's going to get hurt, and his trainer's going to come back from the crowd.
Yes. Out of the stands.
And then Monday morning, they're going to have the Titanic music in the background with the throw.
No, see, the whole storyline is Brady's mom lives in Minnesota. So Brady's going to get hurt, and then mom's going to come out of the stands. And it'll be this huge thing, this massive scripted NFL storyline.
Now, if it really were a Disney movie, Drew Bledsoe would come out and
fill in for the injured Brady.
Or like Doug Flutie, maybe, because he was in the
That would be awesome.
They're going to tape Doug Flutie to his broken leg.
It's like a 3-legged relay. Like Flutie gets to run around and like transport Brady.
Oh man.
I'm planning on watching the game anyway. I'd somehow watch it even more if that was what was happening.
Nate, are you getting together with other people, or I know this is a private question, maybe I shouldn't ask this on the show.
I haven't talked to anybody yet. Okay. I watch football on my own quite a bit and then communicate back and forth with my brother and Paul Witt during said football games. So I'm never truly alone. Amen.
Does Jeff Fisher still watch with you? Your fish, or is
Jeff Fisher does something? He is still alive.
Is he really?
Yes, he is still alive, but in various forms of responsiveness, and he's very much like me. As soon as I put food in the tank, he is alert and he knows what's up. Otherwise, he's just kind of lazing around. All that to say, if someone invites me to their house,
staff like that too.
Yes.
All that to say is if someone invites me to watch Super Bowl with them, that's awesome, and I can go and enjoy that. But I also really enjoy just watching it on my own. So
cool. Rob, you guys having like a youth thing? Because you guys normally have a youth group on Sunday night, right?
Yes, and I made the. I got a boo in the background from my daughter.
This is great. You have a live audience, live studio. It's great.
Do. I made the philosophical decision to just have normal youth group this year, and then if people need to go watch it on their own, they can. We will be done before halftime. But my daughter and also one of my youth group teens just gave me a boo.
Oh man, they're not saying boo; they're saying blue, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. But yeah, we're just having a regular youth group. We're gonna have a Super Bowl themed game, the Gridiron Games.
Mm.
They're gonna be done a little early in case people need to run along to their wicked entertainment. I didn't say it.
Aaron, are you gonna watch with the same Patriots fans that made you cynical last year?
I don't think so. I don't know if I'm invited. So I have their own thing now. I think I'm going to invite a very small group over, get some mellow mushroom, and sort of like celebrate my upcoming birthday with them. You know, on kind of my own territory there. So,
when's your birthday, Aaron?
6th, 5 days.
Oh. Hey, that gift's in the mail.
Yeah,
I got you last year.
Woo! Wrapped it myself.
It wasn't. You're fine. You don't need to give me anything.
Oh,
actually,
good.
I ordered you a Happy Rant mug, but then I need to recall that.
As long as it's signed by what's his name, my favorite of the three,
Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie Martin.
Yeah, I'll work on that. Yeah, we have Sunday night service, but then we have a youth Super Bowl afterglow, kind of an annual thing. So we record the game and start it when we get there, and that way you can skip all the halftime. It's great. Works out well. Guys, this has been fun. I think we should draw this to a close. Can we just think of Paul one more time?
Absolutely. Sign off with the music, Kevin.
Well, on behalf of Aaron, Nate, Rob, and in absentia, Paul, thanks for joining us for the 24th episode of the French Toast Night podcast. And we'll talk to you later.
Whew, glad that's over. How about that? Oh.